Before we get to our show, here is a podcast we think you're going to love.
Hey, I'm Talisa.
And I'm Sarah.
We're the hosts of The Shit Show,
a half-assed true crime podcast.
Yeah, we're two moms who sit around chatting about true crime.
Each week we cover lesser-known cases and talk about the shit shows that are our lives.
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Play, and pretty much on any other platform that you would listen to a podcast.
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Shit Show TCP.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
All right. Hello, everyone. It's time for Perhaps It's You, your favorite Unsolved Mysteries rewatch podcast. I'm Liz.
I'm Samantha.
And we have a very special guest with us today. It's friend of the pod and your favorite ghost slut, Arden.
Favorite and only trademark ghost.
Absolutely.
Arden, if there were 100 ghost sluts, you would still be
yeah,
favorite.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's no contest.
I'm growing a legion of fellow ghost sluts. So
I am constantly sending Arden tattoo images that I find on Instagram that are somehow ghost slut related.
And I never get sick of it.
That it's somehow... Yeah, it's a surprising number of tattoos also of just like a slutty ghost. And I'm
it's
like, yes.
One artist that's like her jam. And now I kind of want one from her.
I think you need one.
If I was ever in LA post-plague with money to burn, I would definitely get one.
I think it needs to happen.
You know when you learn a new word for the first time and then suddenly you hear that word all the time in your everyday life? It's one of those things. You've never seen a ghost slut tattoo until you suddenly know what ghost slut is, and then they're all over your Instagram.
You're like a stripper shoe with a ghost like shining in the giant soul.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
I love the little pinup ones too. I think that would be like the style of ghost slut that I would get personally. It doesn't really match the vibe of any of my other tattoos, but who cares?
Yeah, that's not important. I don't think that's a thing.
No, I'm not a coloring book. You know, it doesn't have to be.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
I can.
How many ghost slut tattoos are you going to get, Samantha?
At least 5.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
How's that Gordon Ramsay is daddy tramp stamp coming along?
Well, COVID put a halt on
my
tattoo plan. But you know what? My Gordon Ramsay is a daddy sleeve.
Full sleeve. Full color.
We do it in my basement every session. Only in my dreams.
I mean, that's like a good dream to have. Not that dream where you show up somewhere and you realize no one is wearing a mask and you're not wearing a mask and you're going to die.
That's the new you show up to class naked or whatever.
Yes.
The worst dream.
Yeah. I had a dream that my mom took me bowling in El Paso and I got COVID. Thanks a lot, Mom.
God. Yeah, I remember you mentioned that. I was like, what a sad way to get COVID. Although, do y'all have the thing where every time you have any maybe tangible symptom of anything, I could stub my toe and be like,
let's go.
Can I still smell? Am
I had to clear my throat the other day and I was like, could this be COVID?
This is why I need to keep buying perfume off eBay so I can spray it and then go, I can still smell. I must be fine. That's my test. Yes.
And it's really a healthcare.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, no, the problem is I feel gross most of the time, but especially in winter, I just generally feel terrible. I should not live here. And yet here I am. Like the only time I felt like in good health all of last winter was when I was in New Orleans and I was like, oh wow, I think this might be
what your
climate based.
Yeah. What your body actually wants. I know.
Climate and French 75 induced health.
We need to get enough podcasts that we can all start snowbirding in New Orleans in the winter. That's the ultimate dream.
Yes. Oh, that would be amazing.
We'll just be here for the 1 week of spring, summer, fall.
We'll be here during hurricane season.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then we'll go and learn about ghosts and eat jambalaya.
Yeah. Oh God, I want to cry thinking about that right now.
I know.
Although,
Okay, that's so sad.
I want to cry thinking about going to Olive Garden right now. So.
Right. Suddenly, all these things sound really good. I scared Samantha by being like, I would go to a wedding right now.
Yes.
That did scare me. I'm like, Liz, blink twice.
I was like, I just want to get dressed up. I want to spend like 5 hours getting ready for something.
5
like
listeners,
prom.
Liz once thanked me for not inviting her to my wedding. Fun fact.
It's true. I was like, I just got to buy you a present? That's it? Perfect.
My wedding was great. There was tacos and like bottomless self-serve margaritas. So you missed
Well, now you're making me take it back, but I still appreciate the thought of not inviting me.
Yeah, we had a no new friends policy for our wedding because my husband is way more of an introvert, and I already was like dominating the guest list. So I was like, okay, only
like, you're just too popular. I hear you.
Yeah, it's a problem. It's like how no one takes me seriously because I'm too pretty.
That's another. I could see you having that problem, but
I really don't. I promise. But you forget that I'm also a catfish. I'm really glad that we're not like video recording right now. I'm really
oh my God, no, never.
85% of the time.
Now that I never have to leave the house, I live in pajamas, so it's fine.
Yeah, there's no way we would video record this podcast because
I still put on real clothes because otherwise I get way too depressed. But like my hair is still drying, like no makeup, glasses on, settling in. I'm drinking wine out of a Halloween glass.
That all sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I see no problem.
Well, sounds nice and cozy.
Yeah.
Wow, we brought Arden on today. To do all of our work for us, basically. Yeah. I have wanted to have you back on the podcast for a while, and Anastasia seemed like the ripe opportunity. I knew you had a lot of opinions.
I do have a lot of opinions.
And then this turned out to be the longest segment since Alcatraz.
Yeah.
Why is there so much Anastasia information? And why is some of it the same as other Anastasia information we already went over?
You noticed that it was originally aired in 3 parts, which seems like 2.5 parts too many.
I assume they had to recap some of the information in the, it's been a week since your last Anastasia episode, so you had to...
Can you imagine being like, can't wait to tune back in, find out what happens?
Well, they don't even know if you saw that, right? And you're like flipping through the channels, and then you come back and you're like, who was Anastasia? What's happening?
Yeah. Before we get started, I do have one update.
Oh, right. I forgot about that part of the show.
Well, they're not big updates, but I did want to give a thank you to 2 people, to Robin and to Patrick, who sent us some holiday treats from our Amazon wish list. It was a very pleasant surprise. They came on the same day at different times. So we got 2 packages addressed to the podcast on the same day at different times, and I really appreciated it. So they're both snacks. Miracle. Yes, I'm actually saving the box of snacks that Robin sent because... I think they're going to keep until Liz and I can have an outdoor picnic of some sort and enjoy our snacks together. We also got cheesies from Patrick, which I really appreciated.
Oh, man.
Patrick, I know you were concerned that there was only 1 bag left in stock, but what you didn't know is that the big boy cheesies, which are what we put on our Amazon wish list, have 3 little bags inside. So there's 1 for me, 1 for Liz, and then I did let my husband take the other one. But I'm saving them as well.
A time-locked vault to ensure that...
I did put them in the other room, so I put them in the other room so 1, I wouldn't be tempted. 2, my husband wouldn't sneak them. And 3, my dogs wouldn't climb on the counter and snatch them, which are all good possibilities. So they're actually in a drawer in the other room. Waiting. I maybe ate a few of the little snacks that came in the box.
Samantha!
But there's plenty more, so don't worry about it.
All right, it's fine. I'm just jealous.
Well, it's kind of sucks that we can't have snack time anymore. And maybe I'm sure some listeners to our podcast appreciate that we don't spend like 20 minutes at the beginning of each episode making mouth noises and eating snacks. But that was always one of my favorite parts of recording in person, and we don't get that pleasure anymore.
But I've gotten the honor to, hear your mouth noises in real life.
I
So
mean, it's quite an honor.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Arden has seen us really plow down some all-you-can-eat sushi, so she's very familiar with our mouth noises.
No face and Spirited Away whenever we go out for all-you-can-eat sushi, so I cannot judge you. In fact, I'm not even looking usually.
Well, that's true. I have no idea how much anyone else eats. I'm very laser focused. I got work to do.
The waitress always looks concerned, and that's my favorite part.
You know you're doing all-you-can-eat sushi correctly when your waitress has a little bit of an apprehensive look, like they're a little worried about how much you're eating, and or if you frighten other patrons in the restaurant. I remember one specific instance, which I was actually there with my work, and the people that I work with can eat a lot of sushi. Like they put us to shame. And we were on the opposite side of a hibachi from a group that clearly has never been there before, and they each ordered like one roll. Their order came and they each had like one little roll, and meanwhile plates upon plates of sushi are showing up to our table and just like shoveling it down. You gotta get your money's worth when you go for all you can.
Oh, absolutely, particularly sushi, and it's such a deal, really.
It's
it adds up fast.
I know it's been mentioned before, but hearing Samantha order sushi, it's just chef's kiss. The sexiest thing. I'm just,
it really is.
Like, marry me.
I've got it.
My husband would never order sushi like that.
Where Samantha's like, okay, we're gonna take 4 of this roll. 2 of it's just like this whole thing off the top of her head, and everybody's just looking at her like, who is this angel?
Got it.
Yeah,
it's one of my only talents.
It's so great. Yeah. Oh my god. Kyoto, I miss you so much. But we're on, if you're watching along at home, season 6, episode 3.
I'm pulling up my notes because there's some great stack quotes, which I'm like, calm down.
He can't. He's too excited.
I am insanely extra, and so like game recognized game. But I in my notes last night I wrote LOL. Okay, Rob.
Do you think Robert Stack thinks of himself as like American royalty? He's like finally a story that's on like my level.
Yes, I do.
She was more royal than a princess.
Like, I remember that one.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
It's just a different structure of monarchy. It doesn't like. Okay.
No, more royal than a princess, Arden.
K. Rob. So she was more royal to princess. Also, as we journey to Russia, y'all did not go to Russia. That was not in the budget. You took that with your
Are you calling Robert Stack a liar?
I'm not calling him a truther.
I mean, I'm gonna say the set for this mystery really did look like it was someone's basement.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you. I get that, it's like a Russian bunker or something is the majority of it. But also, I want to talk about the weird discrepancies in historical fashion because sometimes it's really good in this segment and sometimes it's terrible. Like I get that, you're not like dressing up for your execution. Maybe I would personally, but
I mean, if I knew, I absolutely would.
They weren't prepared, which is fair. Like
they had time to put on their jewel hidden corsets, though.
They said they give them half an hour to dress, which I'm like, that seems pretty reasonable. That's what I usually give myself working from home. And I'm not putting on jewel corsets.
These days it takes me 2 minutes to get dressed and walk to my office, but
you don't have a corset, a jewel hiding corset.
I do have my regular corsets that I put on to work from home with camera off, but no. I'll take that back. I have been known to wear a corset while working from home.
I do not doubt it. Yeah, that's how I picture you in my mind. So
as you should. I'm gonna send you a great Snapchat after this that proves that. So the beginning, we talk about, we have some general overview of like the family and that she was this like both this like very like opulent lifestyle, but also a disappointment, which I'm like, that seems rude.
Because she wasn't
okay.
She didn't have enough penises.
Also, the assumption that like she became a tomboy because her dad wanted a brother, like her to be a boy instead. And like that seems rude.
Yeah, that might be a stretch. I really
She
appreciated
liked to roller skate, so clearly she had plenty of
Yes,
money.
that's what I was gonna say. I love that footage of her roller skating on a yacht. That is the life.
Also, that was really cute and made me a teeny bit sad. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, oh, that's kind of adorable.
It really
But
is.
so then we smash cut to them, being taken from their regular palace to go be prisoners in a different palace. What a rough life.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough where you have
Like
to go to your other palace.
Ellen's pandemic prison palace.
She was basically in jail, a giant jail the size of a town.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. But the costumes they have in their like execution scene looks like they stole them from like a Christmas Carol.
They
like
probably
local
did.
I'm sure it's just leftovers from some other
community
historical
theater.
history
I
they
don't
did.
know.
They're like, this will do.
They're
This
not
is
quite
fine.
the right time period. I don't know. It bothered me. I know that's finicky.
They
but I'm like,
probably
really?
found them in an old trunk, like on some set, and they were like, "Yeah, this is
This
fine."
looks old timey. We'll
Yeah.
wear this.
No one will know. No one's gonna be watching this on YouTube in 30 years. It's fine.
And so they discuss some of their family went into hiding, but obviously they did not. They were under guard, and then eventually they were executed, which I think pretty much everyone knows about that. I don't think I need to go into detail that Tsar's not around anymore. Oh god, how did they describe it? It was very heavy-handed anti-communist rhetoric in this segment too. It was kind of like to the point that it was just hilarious to me.
Yeah, that's why we couldn't have Mac on this segment.
Yeah, he would get too mad. He would be too mad. But the radical Bolsheviks
Oh!
How dare they?
Well, other people were living in multi-palace splendor.
In their jewel corsets. Yeah, it's fine.
Yes. Let that be a lesson to the 1%ers listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
As if I'm sure there are many.
You can try to roller skate your way into my heart, but
in the end,
not gonna save
watch
you.
out. Yeah.
Maybe if she's wearing roller skates at the time.
She could have roller skated away.
Yeah. Well, maybe she did, Liz. Maybe she did.
That should have been presented as a theory.
I mean, I feel like she roller skated away is better evidence than most of what we get for this case.
Prove
but
she did it.
It's
I think I can prove that actually.
We smash cut to someone jumping off like a shorter distance than I've jumped off many diving boards into a river. Like, I get that you don't want someone to die in reality, but and this woman is pulled out of this creek from this diving board, and taken to it's in Berlin now. Smash cut in Berlin. Woman jumps off a very low bridge. A few years later, which to me is the weirdest part. It's like, okay. A few years later in Berlin, woman jumps off the world's lowest bridge into a creek, and is brought to a German asylum, which looks much cleaner and nicer than I assume it actually was.
I'm guessing, yeah.
Like maybe now, like a German mental institution is probably much nicer than like ours, but I mean,
if it is this nice, I'll keep that in mind as a backup plan. The way I think about Swedish prison, I was like, if things go really bad for me here, I'm definitely going to Sweden and committing a crime.
One-way flight to Sweden or like Finland, commit like a crime that's bad enough that they'll punish you, but not like murder.
No, just like burn down an old shed or something.
Yeah, and then be like, oh, I must go to prison for this. Get me the worst lawyer in your country.
What? You'll get me
retirement plan, actually.
Yeah, same.
But anyway, so she's hanging out in this day spa / asylum, and her friend, who's apparently obsessed with royalty magazines, to which I was like, what if I met Meghan Markle like while I was institutionalized? That would be so wild.
And you just had like a People magazine right with you, and you're like, this
is
you.
some random poor like mixed race woman in this asylum with me, and she's like, I am not Meghan Markle. That's a little racist. Please go away.
And you just keep insisting it's her. Because there's a reason you're in the asylum, and that reason is you think everyone is royalty.
Yes, that might be why. Did we look into that? No.
Yeah.
No. It must be true. My personal, maybe I'll save my like other theories for the end, but it's pretty clear. I think that this sort of like planted either a seed of like maybe this might be a fun grift, or sadly maybe some like seed of additional mental instability on top of some existing stuff going on.
I think the timeline is important because they set up the episode as if what's her name? Anna Anderson?
Anna Anderson, which that is a fake name. I'll give her that.
I'm not sure that's her real name, but that's what she goes by. They set it up as if she shows up at this institution and immediately starts declaring that she is Anastasia, which is not true. Her friend or roommate or something at the asylum suggests,
are you like Anastasia?
Yeah, insists that she's Anastasia, but then she says she's the other sister at first, and then eventually switches to Anastasia, probably because the age makes more sense. I'm not really sure, but she eventually switches to Anastasia. She at first is not saying she's Anastasia; she's saying she's one of the others. I can't remember which one. So it's kind of sketchy. This is sketchier than they made it seem in the preview.
Yes, Anna Anderson is. Why even go to that step? Be like, this is my pseudonym, because she originally was committed as Miss Unknown. She wouldn't give them her name, which to her defenders lends credence to this. Like, she was in hiding. She didn't want to know. But then she had an additional pseudonym. I'm like, okay.
I feel like Miss Unknown has this wonderful, like, burlesque quality to it.
Ooh, yeah, it's a little hot. It's got some like Carmen
Miss Unknown. Yeah, yes, a Carmen Sandiego themed burlesque act. I'm into it.
That's all I want now. That's all I hope to be. But I'm gonna get.
You'll never know where in the world those nipple pasties are.
I'm trench coat and some nipple pasties. Gonna be right back. Quick pause. But so she only starts declaring this very slowly and over time, which I think is really telling. But then she gets somehow people hear about this, which is very strange to me.
Yeah, they were not clear on how that happened. But I'm guessing just gossip. Yeah, just like town gossip, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, there was nothing to do.
Maybe the physicians or whoever runs this asylum, it made it seem like they reached out to these relatives of the Tsar's family that were living there in the country, and they then just showed up or sent some representative.
They sent a representative who has an amazing outfit. This is where I was like, okay, I forgive the past Christmas Carol community theater outfits, because this one is on point. Love it.
Maybe the actor just had that and brought it from home.
She's like, I'm a vintage enthusiast. I'm gonna wear my own clothes. Fair, killing it. But so she shows up and she's like, cool. But she must have been convinced enough that people eventually showed up. I find it super weird that she doesn't speak any Russian, apparently, at any point, and they didn't think that was a weird plot hole.
Seems suspicious to me.
That part, yeah.
I forgot. Which there's another point further in the episode where she's like an old woman, and they ask her if she can speak Russian, and she's like, no, I won't. Which at least, it's 50 years since you've spoken Russian. Like, language is, you forget it. I could understand that. But 2 years later, you forgot all Russian?
Yeah. Okay. She forgot her mother tongue.
Okay, Anna.
Seems possible.
Cool. Which I suppose you could be like, okay, she was traumatized. There was that creek incident.
But there's so many. You have to take so many leaps. Like, every single part of this is like, well, maybe if. I don't know.
She must have been very charismatic, is what I'm getting. I don't really get that from the actress in the.
No.
Not exactly.
Sorry. Whatever that is, but no.
Less. I wish you know ill will in your community theater Christmas Carol journey. But Not my favorite, but also not the worst actress even in this.
Actually, I do wish them ill will.
Liz would. This is your
only Muppet Christmas Carol. That's the only version that should exist.
Yeah,
all
that's
other
fair.
versions get my ill
And
will.
I can't even disagree with that. But this is your
If you-
daily reminder that Liz is Aries. Aries alert. I do wish her ill will.
I do wish ill will, because if you're not willing to cry in front of a Muppet, you're not really committed to the Christmas Carol. Yeah.
I can't argue with that. I can't.
Speechless for once in my entire life.
Where is Michael Caine's Oscar for Muppet Christmas Carol, where he literally cries in front of a Muppet? He is like interacting with no people. It's amazing.
I can't disagree with that. It's amazing. It's so good. It's so good. And it is the only Christmas Carol that I accept. You are correct.
So I think I would love to see a community theater production of a Muppet Christmas Carol.
I think they would get really sued, but I would be down.
Yeah, minor detail. Okay, sorry, go on.
They just get really hairy actors. And not puppets.
Or just like sock puppets. They're like really poorly made.
Yeah. No, I would go see that. But also I think going to Olive Garden sounds like exotic now. So my idea of fun has definitely shifted over the last year. So
I saw a Staples the other day and was like, could I just go in and like look around? A Staples.
That stationary smell.
Yeah. I was like, I'll just go see what color Post-its they have, maybe look at some pens. It was a Staples.
That is sad, Liz. I'm not gonna lie. But
it is.
Understand.
I just wanted the feeling of browsing.
Yeah. Oh God. And smelling things. Anyway, I'm gonna interrupt our depression spiral by much like we're frequently interrupted during these bad reenactments by this historian / author James Blair Lovell, I think, or Lavelle.
Okay, you just look at that guy, and I don't know what this means, but you know he's a quack. You just look at that guy right in the eyes, and you're like, this guy's not legit. I can't explain it.
My vibe off him is like he was not charismatic enough to be a cult leader, so he decided to be dead.
Shady historian.
Yeah, shady historian.
The vibe you're getting be because he's convinced that a random woman named Anna Anderson is Anastasia.
Anna Chair Anderson.
Who else could be Anastasia except Anna Anderson?
That's the other thing too. If you're trying to hide your identity, so you choose a pseudonym that's very similar to part of your name. It's like, I'm not Arden, I'm Garden Olson. You're not friends.
Yeah. I'm just not Liz. First name not, last name Liz.
I'm Beth Stalker.
Yeah. That's a terrible name.
That's not good. Get a lot of complaints.
Yeah, people do not like me around. Well,
don't get a lot of inquiries on my CV. For some reason. But yeah, he interrupts us frequently with his weird piercing eyes. He's not looking directly at the camera, thank God, because he's like a really intense. Like, I also feel like he would have hit on me when I was like 19 at a bar or in his classroom, probably.
Okay, you act like I'm so mean to everyone, and you're accusing this historian of like
historian / author / fraud. Yes,
of being a creep.
He does seem like a creep, I'll say. I hope he's not listening to this, but
that seems like a stretch. But if you are, I'm very sorry, James, Jimmy. You know, can I call you Jimmy? I want to personally apologize.
Our good pal Jimmy, wherever he is.
Work on softening your gaze a little, just to New Year's resolution.
It's intense. It's intense.
It's creepy, and you're not even looking at the camera. It's unnerving. Anyway, he is very devoted. Apparently, they knew each other. I feel like this is one of those things that, you know, like when you watch true crime shows and they're like, they lit up the room and I loved them, and you're like, were you really friends? Because I feel like you just wanted to go on TV.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like they had that kind of relationship where maybe he like met her a couple times. And it really milks that for his like.
That's how I
career.
feel about Anne Rule and her Ted Bundy book.
Okay, but
where she's like, perhaps no one knew him better than me, and it's like,
yeah, it's a little far. But if I had that creepy
calm
of a
down,
coworker-
calm down, Anne. You just volunteered with him. He had a girlfriend. He had a family.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't
Yeah,
the Unabomber living out in the middle of nowhere.
I
He
think
knew
it's an
people.
interesting perspective because you don't like to think of your like if you call into a suicide hotline, that's not really who you want to be on the other side. So
It's terrifying, and it is interesting. I just feel like she really put herself into that story more than is. Sorry, Anne Rule.
It's fair. Bless you, Anne Rule. But yeah, that's a fair fair critique. I'm not gonna go in on as hard on Anne Rule though, because she doesn't have a creepy glare. So
maybe she does. I don't know.
I haven't watched a lot.
I can't say she doesn't.
She cannot have as creepy a glare. I'm gonna just put that out there. I'm gonna hedge my bet.
Seems unlikely.
Seems unlikely. So he talks a lot of nonsense about how like they were BFFs, had friendship bracelets and whatnot, but also that like he makes a lot of weird assumptions about like her actions that things that could be construed as maybe weird or suspicious, were just her being like, oh, that's just her court etiquette. And I'm like, okay, was she a roller skating tomboy who like eschewed this, or was she like somehow a weird shut-in but also really concerned about royal etiquette? Decide.
Yes, she's everything.
Decide. She is
both. Yeah.
She's everything at once. Yeah.
Yep. She's truly miraculous.
I feel like a lot of her behaviors they dismiss by just saying she's royalty or
she's Russian. Don't mind her. She's Russian.
Right.
Unfair.
It's like
I
don't know.
I have explained acquaintances' behavior by they're Russian, but only in in better ways. Also, I actually know those people.
For people who perhaps can speak Russian.
Yes, right. Who might actually be Russian and not for sure German, but whatever. Also, so one of the main things of evidence that's brought up like at least 3 times. I know it was broken down into segments, but it gets really irritating when you're watching it all the time. It's like the photographs don't lie, and I'm like, okay, those 2 women and those 2 photographs do kind of look alike, but I bet I could find 5 different family photos of 5 different family members that look equally like a dead Russian princess.
My first impression was they
terrible.
My first impression was they didn't look anything alike. Now they say that she had like a distinctive scar on her, like above her ear or something, and that matched. Apparently, I couldn't. The pictures are very fuzzy. It's hard to tell. But
the bone deformity thing kind of that doesn't seem that weird of a coincidence to like, oh, this other woman also has something sort of weird with her foot. Like they didn't pull up like X-rays of the 2, right? Like there's no.
Yeah, it's just like, oh yeah, you also have a foot. It made me think of, remember when people found that old photo?
You have 2 feet, so
this coincidence cannot be denied. Remember when people found that really old photo that looked like exactly like Keanu Reeves?
Yeah.
Or maybe it was like, yeah, like you could
Keanu
find
he's a vampire. It's
that one It doesn't prove that Keanu Reeves is like traveling through time. Sometimes people just look alike.
A vampire lizard.
Okay, you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, correct. He hasn't aged that much since like the 90s either, so he's not.
That's true.
Could it be that he's rich and has access to excellent skin cream? No, vampire.
No.
Vampire. So they explain away other like recent injuries that have scarred over as like maybe shrapnel from bullets ricocheting off her jewel corset.
I'm not sure that these doctors like don't recognize bullet wounds or like they were like she's covered in unusual scars and they were like that can be explained by the firing squad. I was like these doctors seem bad.
I think it would be pretty distinctive.
This is where a bullet entered your body.
I have never been shot, gotta say, but my grandpa he had a bullet scar on his shoulder. It was pretty clear what it was from like Korea. Like it was pretty clear that it was a bullet wound. I don't think unless they all grazed her and she just fainted or something. I don't know.
I mean, I guess that's the explanation of how she survived. Is that
So they
she just fainted?
Some supposed details from like a soldier's son, I think, the night of, who was in that firing squad. I am also going to take all of that with a grain of salt, right? Because it's years and years after the fact. It's not a firsthand account. And it doesn't make that much sense. But apparently the initial like volleys didn't hit her. And there are a lot of accounts that it took like a creepy amount of time to kill the empress and her daughters because of said jewel corsets, which, okay, they had a lot of diamonds, and there's already like those were probably steel corsets to begin with, so that makes a little sense. Your organs might be a little more shielded than usual, but apparently none of them hit her badly, and someone stabbed her in the foot and then like knocked her out.
Stabbed her in the foot? Why?
Right,
That's not gonna do it.
foot.
That doesn't do anything.
To pin her down, and I'm like, yes, this firing squad needed to pin down a 17-year-old girl. Okay.
When they were armed. All right.
Checks out.
I know when I'm trying to assassinate someone, I definitely stab them in the foot.
With your bayonet.
Their most vulnerable part.
You can stab them like between the eyes with your bayonet, like if you're out of ammo, I guess.
I mean, maybe we can say she was too beautiful. They couldn't bring themselves to do it.
Sure.
They could only damage her deformed foot. Anyway, it was already not great.
Already fucked up. It's fine. This is beginning to sound a little bit like some weird fan fiction I would have read in middle school. But
I mean, the difference between unsolved mysteries and fan fiction is sometimes pretty thin, honestly.
That checks out. And this is no different. So we flash forward in time to her talking to her who would actually be her aunt if she was, the Grand Duchess Anastasia. But the aunt seems pretty unconvinced from the start. Like apparently she was like, "Oh, you are my niece," but I don't know. Maybe she was just being nice, or maybe you would presumably, like, regardless of how you feel politically on it, like that would be very sad if it was your family. And you would want to hold out hope. We've seen so many cases on Unsolved Mysteries where it's like, oh, it is them. It's for sure them. It's like you want to hold out hope, and that's a human reaction. But it seems pretty clear that she doesn't. She's like, it's weird that you don't speak Russian or know my name.
It's only been a couple years. You've never forgotten a lot. Yeah.
Remember what I gave you for Christmas like 18 months ago? That's odd. Like it doesn't seem to be that far of a relation.
She's like, you always were an ungrateful child. No wonder you remember nothing.
Always roller skating away on your weird foot. But do you think she'd custom skates?
Probably. Maybe. Depends how deformed. I mean, probably everything. For a royal family back then, it was probably made out of solid gold.
Yeah, and diamonds.
That's
it's so hard to bayonet through it. Oh God, I'm going to hell. That's fine. There's other reasons for that too.
Yeah, you'll see me there. It's okay.
Yeah, it's cool. We'll chill. We'll go to the Olive Garden. I assume that's also in hell.
There's definitely an Olive Garden in hell.
Hell is only chain restaurants in like suburban.
Oh God. The thing is though, there's a limit on the breadsticks.
How dare they?
Yeah, that's how you know it's hell.
So they seem unconvinced. They make up this like theory that they wanted to cut her out because they didn't want to like share their family wealth with her, which okay, if there was more evidence, that would be a pretty good reason to try to cut someone out. But really, like, so you went to this hospital to find this woman that you think might be your relation. And then you're like, psych, you are my relation, and I don't want to share money with you.
Okay, here's my question, because I don't think Unsolved Mysteries made it clear. She said there was like what, $80 million in a secret bank account. Did that money actually exist, or are they just assuming because they disappeared after that?
I tried looking into this, and I don't see any evidence of that. So they give that as the reason that they're like, "Oh, thank you for that information." Don't know why your dad cared that
"Bye."
way, particularly. My dad didn't tell me about most of his banking information when I was a teenager. And my dad wasn't even an emperor, and I only have 2 brothers. So, but anyway, maybe they were super close with their roller skating and banking
So
info.
yeah, because apparently they were all excited to have her back in the family or whatever until they were like, "Well, what are you going to do for money? Like when you get out of the asylum, like how are
This
you going
day
to afford
spa.
to live? What are you going to do?" And she's like, "I'll be fine. My dad had that $80 million in that secret bank." And they
And
were
they were
like,
like,
"You don't
"What is
say." And
that
then they took
thing?"
her out.
Which would be super suspicious if that checked out, but I tried to look into it and I didn't see any like information that wasn't
Well, it
about
was a
her.
secret bank, Arden, so maybe.
Okay, the Bank of
But
England.
also,
Well-known secret
at that
bank.
time, that was billions of dollars now. Like,
Yeah.
they could have also just cut her in. Like, I realize that's not
Right?
really how rich people work, but there
No.
was more than enough to go around. They could have,
Okay.
if they really thought she was part of the family, they could have included her in the money.
I have a note about that though, because that's both not how rich people work, but also weirdly exactly how rich people work. Because after she gets out of this day spa asylum, she goes to live with some random duke. Like they're not
Sure.
even related, which is a stretch for that family. Like you had to try hard to not be related to the Romanovs if you're any form of European mobility.
How come I
Like,
never am just like, oh, I'm going to summer with the Duke.
right? That sounds lit. I can pretend
See you
being an
later.
orphan.
Yeah.
She's not their cousin or anything, which again would make sense because they're related on a lot of sides. Like on her mom's side, her mom's grandma was Queen Victoria. She had a bunch of kids. They married a bunch of people. The Romanovs, there's a reason why they're a little off, bloodlines wise, but like they have a lot of royal cousins. This random Duke and Duchess take her in, and she just lives with them for a bit.
Was this before or after? Was it her uncle that came, the one that who drew the pictures?
So that was like her family's doctor's son's friend or something. I don't know.
Some dude that she would have known from
A
childhood.
loose childhood
Yeah.
acquaintance.
And I thought the fact that she recognized the photo, the pictures, or she remembered the stories or something, I don't really remember, convinced everybody that she was legit. I don't know if that played a part in the.
I think that's just part of the long con, though. Like, so the thing was that supposedly he back in the day would paint these stories of like animals wearing little clothes, which sounds amazing.
Still had as an adult man,
which he had kept all these years, and he brought them, and so he would make these little paintings, which I kind of want one of, and then she would like make up the story that went with it. And so he brought these paintings he still had, and she remembered the stories. But I was like, what if the stories just aren't that original? So she's like, oh yes, I remember this one. It's about a duck that goes to school. Like
they're stories, they're paintings of animals.
Yeah.
Also, like I don't remember the weird shit I made up as a kid. Like as a weird imaginative kid.
Yeah, I made up tons of shit. I don't remember it all. No.
I don't remember any of it.
No.
So I think that if someone was like, "Oh, there's a painting of a duck and a lion. Oh, and the duck and the lion were friends," but then and then you're like, "Oh yeah, that checks out." But apparently, this really convinced him, especially, and that man whose name I did not write down, unfortunately. But he became one of her like biggest supporters, and eventually, I think even helped her immigrate to the U.S. when she
he was conned hard.
Was he the one she lived with all the cats? Who was
that was his friend. He like hooked her up with someone, and they got married, and then she just kept getting cats.
I was wondering about that. I'm like, are these new cats or were these the cats from before? So apparently the Duke bought her a cottage or something. She got a cottage
in the Black Forest.
Is my dream, but
it sounds amazing.
I know. I wrote down.
Why did she come to the U.S.? She was living in the German forest with 1 million cats.
And an overgrown, creepy cottage. Yeah.
Yeah, she was luring in children and shoving them into a stove. Keep that up.
Sounds amazing to me.
Why would you give that up?
Which is also when like her lawyer or someone sends over some like language experts, and they're like, "Hey, your lawyer agreed to this. Can you like prove that you know Russian?" She's like, "Nope. Also, get out."
At this point, she was an eccentric old woman, though, and could definitely get away with it. She's like, "I'm not talking to you. I'm a duchess."
Yeah, which is
and they're
fair.
like, well, I mean,
to which James Blair Lovell is like, she would not stand for this common judge to shake her hand. I'm like, okay, buddy.
Makes her sound like a real bitch.
I know, which she doesn't seem like. I don't know. She seems fun. She's got cats. It's
She's
cool.
pushing children into stoves.
Although
She's got hobbies.
They show us a picture of her at 58, and I was like, oh, baby girl. That is a rough 58. You look like
okay, yes. I think she was also lying about her age. There's no way that woman was 58.
Also, so she immigrates to the U.S. and gets hooked up with that childhood friend, who they say was 19 years her junior. And I'm like, he was like 50 years her junior.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Consenting adults over 50, especially, you know what? If you haven't learned by now, you can make up your own mind on who to marry. But I also feel like he was maybe trying to exploit her, which makes me a little sad. But apparently they continued gaining cats.
I feel like they were exploiting each other somehow.
Yeah, which is, I've seen worse marriages.
Fair.
They were described as the bane of their neighbor's existence, which I wrote down as like, yes, that is what you want. Gold.
The vegetation reclaimed their house, and they just had 40 cats running everywhere.
Yeah.
I appreciate it because I'm a person that if I like something a little, I like it a lot. And clearly this woman just wanted to live in a tangle of weeds with a bunch of cats. And she's not content to have I don't know, 6 cats.
It's not quite cottage core. It's like cats and
it's more like Grey Gardens core.
Yes, crumbling core. Ooh,
yeah, where you're not sure if you're eating cat food or pate, but
I've been testing out a lot of new cat foods for my spoiled cat lately, and that just hit me a little too hard. I'm like, oh God, no.
Well, good thing you're a vegetarian, so.
Yeah. I'm a vegetarian though, so the tuna ones technically still game on for me.
Roll that up in some rice.
Yeah, unlimited sushi. Everything's fine. Anyway, the theme of this episode is my descent into sushi themed despair. You're welcome, 5 listeners.
Yeah, I feel that on a spiritual level.
Well, we find out she dies in the mid 80s at 150, and then her husband dies a few years later. It doesn't seem like, I think he died in 1990. She died in 84, I think. And then you get an update at the end that it's like, okay, update. They found the 2 missing bodies, which was some of their key evidence is that there were 2. They found the mass grave of the Romanovs, but there were 2 people missing that couldn't be identified. But then they find 2 more corpses, and they're like, oh no, this is the Empress and Alexei. So Anastasia must have been one of the other bodies, which also goes to show that forensic anthropology is really cool, but it's not as exact of a science, especially 80s forensic anthropology.
Yeah.
It would not give you age estimates that exact,
It's just kind of frustrating because this segment is so long because it's 3 segments, and you go on this whole
JK.
Yeah, it's like, oh, by the way, none of that was true. Thanks for playing.
The update at the end really is it was definitively determined that Anastasia was in one of the graves nearby.
Yeah. And in the wiki they also have some additional information that one DNA evidence also proved that she was not Anastasia.
Oh, okay.
But she was identified as a German woman, shocker, from
what, that woman that spoke German and lived in Germany? Hard to believe.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to pronounce her name. Bless her heart. Franziska Schwarzkowska. Okay. Something along. There's a lot of syllables.
It's a pretty cool name.
Yeah,
and
Anna Anderson seems like a step down.
Yeah, boo to that. To live in the Black Forest just sounds cool.
Yeah, she apparently had a pretty extensive history of mental illness even before her day spa visits.
Yeah, because she was actually 20, 30 years older than she was telling everybody. So she had a lot of history.
But apparently they knew that by 1927.
Oh.
A private investigator figured out who she was in 1927.
What's Unsolved Mysteries doing then?
Trying to get ratings, Samantha.
Yeah. Jerking us around is what it's
Trying
called.
to milk this out for 3 episodes.
This is a waste of everybody's time.
Yeah, a private investigator hired by her uncle figured that out and was like, yeah, which also maybe that aunt, I don't know if it's the same, the aunt to that uncle, you know, but like maybe that aunt did initially believe it and then they were like, no, we did some digging. She's like, okay, bye. Nice to see you, Anna.
Nice to see you, niece that can't even talk to me because you don't speak
Right?
Russian.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
that's why she moved to the United States. Maybe that's the real reason.
It's a little sad. She seemed to have an okay life overall, though. Like
I mean, I feel like this con kind of worked out for her.
Yeah, like it kind of did. Like clearly not to the extent she wanted it to, but who's to say that her life would have been like much worse or better if she had continued like living under her own identity, right? It didn't seem to be going super well. So, you know, this
is a lot like the Billy the Kid thing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Did either of you watch American Horror Story Apocalypse?
Yes.
Where they make one of the witches go back and try to save Anastasia. It's the most random thing.
Yeah, it was. I kind of remember that part of the storyline because it
has nothing to do with anything, and it makes no sense.
It's supposed to be like some butterfly effect shit.
Yeah, it's like to prove she has this power. Go back in time and save Anastasia.
Yeah,
and I feel like even the character in the show is like, what?
Why?
What does that have to do with anything?
We have friends who died. Like,
yeah, couldn't I do something way less random?
Yeah, like this episode, like it makes me a little sad, but I think overall it was pretty harmless. Also, I know she conned a bunch of people, but like she wasn't conning them out of their life savings or anything like that.
2 kids, money to spare. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah,
I think it's fine.
For where, but it's not nearly as sad as the rest of the episode.
Yeah, woof. Okay, I've got a very strange lost love to talk about.
Yeah, this is the weirdest Oliver Twist story I have ever fucking seen in my life.
This sounds like the Anastasia thing is kind of all made up, and this also sounds made up. So this is going back to December 1948 in Anawa, Illinois. It was not a good time for Frank and Hilda Cron. They were a poor family. They lived with their 7 children in a small farmhouse. The house had no plumbing and heating, and we see a reenactment of all 7 children sleeping together in one bed to keep warm, which also is a vision of hell. I mean, it's pretty cute because they're kids, but oh my god, no.
Those child actors were adorable, and I tried really hard to focus on that, so I didn't just cry.
So you didn't go, one of those kids is definitely kicking you at all times during the night. Like, there's no way out of it. Okay, so this story really starts when the authorities come to evict them because landlords are terrible people. And this is also happening in, like, December before Christmas.
Very Scroogey, gotta say.
Yeah, they learned nothing from A Muppet Christmas Carol, which had not come out yet. So Frank was
the regular Christmas Carol was around, though. Pretty confident.
No. Did you know that this person that inspired Scrooge is like a relative of actor Carrie Ewells?
No, I did not.
That's so weird. Okay. So, but the officers felt really bad throwing this family out into the cold. So they did
notes on that.
So they did the most logical thing, which was taking them to the jail.
Robert Stack says that in the spirit of the season, they allowed them to go live at the jail.
Like, imagine thinking that's like a good solution to this problem. Yes, oh, we can jail you. You know that thing that's a punishment? We could do that.
And they really did jail them. It wasn't like they let them stay in the officers' lounge or something. No. They wouldn't let the mom and dad see each other or leave.
That was weird.
Yeah, there's like no real explanation for that. I think that they honestly did want to punish the parents. So the mom is not allowed to leave the jail cell and the dad is not allowed to enter the jail. But the kids, who I'm guessing they see as like innocent of this situation, are allowed to like roam freely. So they're just wandering around the fucking jail.
Adorably, but still, yeah, it's
But they're just
really
like talking to prisoners and like playing with
Yeah.
jail cells.
happy
And
fun times.
we hear from Raymond, who was 8 years old at this time, and he was like having a blast because, you know, whatever.
Right,
He doesn't really know better. And
I used to have fun in like the lumber yards my dad would drag me to as a child. Like kids will have fun no matter where they are because they're children.
I used to go to my friend's house and literally play in a pile of coal.
Are you sure? Oliver Twist?
Yeah.
What?
Yes. Yes.
Created
That
a
is
pile of coal?
yes, that's London in the 80s for you. There was just a
I
pile.
forgot the London detail. That checks out now. I have no further questions.
There was just a pile of coal at the courtyard of her housing complex. They still used coal for heat, and we would literally go fucking play in that. Yeah, like like Oliver Twist. We thought that was a great time.
Checks out. That pile of coal also probably had a weird name, like the Shimmy Downs or something. That's like on a map. Yeah.
No doubt it did.
Yeah. London. No further questions.
No further questions. And I was saying blimey the entire time.
Sure.
That's what you need to know.
Checks out.
So, yeah, the children are allowed to wander around the jail. Raymond thought that was a good time. However, we also hear from Marie, who is only 4, but she remembers her mom washing her in a tub in the jail cell.
Oh, God, I hated that part.
And she's super she's super uncomfortable because she's like naked being bathed, and police officers are just like wandering by being like, oh, hey. And she has like enough, I don't know, shame, whatever you call that she's like, this is not right. I don't want these strange men washing me like I'm on display.
Yeah. No, like I felt super bad for her, but like I was naked from like ages 0 to like 10 when my mom was like, you must put on clothes. Which
I was the opposite.
A lot about me, but
I was the opposite of that child. I was very prim, except for the coal playing, I guess.
But you played in coal, yeah.
I don't know. Like I feel it like a weird that like a 4-year-old has that much sense of like body shame. That also makes me really sad. But I also understand that like that's a shitty situation.
Yeah,
because big early police dudes, though. I mean,
just like staring at her bathe, and she's like, this isn't. I'm old enough to know this is not right. I don't know. Yeah.
It's a 4-year-old.
She didn't want to take a bath again because she said she was afraid that guy was going to walk by again, and that's just so sad.
Bad vibes.
Yeah, she knew.
4-year-old being like, "Hey, cab," but
The other thing is that she doesn't have a choice. Like, you're 4, so your mom just bathes you when she bathes you, so you don't have a choice of like who's good. You're powerless to like who's going to walk by and see me. I have no privacy. I don't know. It's
you're in a prison cell. There's not a lot of privacy.
Who is the police officer that thought this was like a good solution to this problem, and like why did he want these children just like running around?
Although, so your point about them like wanting to still punish these parents on a weird like moralistic level checks out, because a little bit later, sorry for jumping ahead, but they mentioned that their parents were banished from the state.
Yeah,
I had questions about it. I'm like, is that a thing?
One of the mean foster parents said. I don't know if that was like proven.
Yeah,
they were like, "Look, can you see my parents?" And then they're like,
"They're banished." I'm like, okay, is that like Scar?
Yeah, if people fail to pay their rent, you're banished from Illinois. That doesn't make it like how many people would be banished? That doesn't make any sense.
Currently, Illinois would have like 0 population.
Yeah.
Fun fact about Illinois: no one lives there anymore.
That's weird. So this family situation ended up profiled in the local newspaper, and so that has the only known family portrait of them is them all in this jail cell, and the dad's not there because he's not allowed to enter.
The mom weighs like 90 pounds and was like a living skeleton.
Yeah, it's pretty great, and all the kids are just looking at the camera like, "What?" Okay. So after seeing this article, a social worker arranged for the girls to spend Christmas with foster families.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you probably have an idea where this is going. So the children didn't want to go, but because they were not used to it. Yeah, they had a bad feeling about it, and I don't think they had ever really been away from their mother.
Especially like the 4-year-olds. Like some of them are really little.
Yeah. But this ends up being the last time that she sees her children, because after they're put with these foster families, guess what? They never go back. And it's unknown if her mother ended up giving up custody or if they're essentially stolen. I mean, they point out that it's very possible that Hilda couldn't read. So if she was given something to sign, would she have known what it says? Who knows, right? Like,
yeah, I had some questions about just like so you can either look at it one of two equally sad, in my opinion, ways of either there's a good chance she was illiterate or like had very low reading comprehension, considering how the time and how poor this family was, or maybe she did know what it was, but felt either coerced or just like this was a no-win situation, and maybe at least the foster families would be better than living in a jail cell.
Yeah, I mean, what is the long-term solution here? Like, they can't go on living in this jail cell forever. Right. Her and 7 children.
They're like,
so,
you're late on jail rent now.
Yeah, like,
manage you.
I guess the dad isn't in the jail, like, in theory, so he can work, maybe, but I'm not sure where he's living, so that's not a very good plan.
Do you think it's like... I had questions about that. I'm like, about the dad. I'm like, are they just punishing them, or is it maybe a sex thing where they're like...
I think they held him responsible for not paying up. So he's like not included in the charity, quote unquote, of them living in the jail.
Charity.
Yeah. But I think also, they wouldn't have wanted them to like have sex in the jail or possibly make more children in the jail.
Like, but I cannot be trusted to not.
But I think it's more just like they're punishing them for, being poor.
There's nothing good in that whole segment.
It's so strange. So by Christmas, Hilda and her male children were still at the jail. The girls had all been taken to foster care, so that's weird. Raymond remembers this because when they get their, jail dinner on the tray, like slid in through the jail bars, it has a candy bar. So he knew it was Christmas. And he was super excited because he hadn't had a candy bar in years.
Or ever. He said
maybe
never open the door. They're not actually imprisoned.
You can't trust that Raymond. He's 8 and he's shifty and crafty. He will shiv you so fast.
He will adorably ask if he can pull the lever to open the gate.
Yeah, these children seemed, at least reenactment children, super well behaved, considering they're just left to run around a jail to their heart's content.
There's like 7 of them or something. Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
I also wrote God bless birth control in my notes.
For real. Oh. Okay. By the end of the month, the boys were also placed in foster homes. How that was arranged is not clear. The fate of Frank and Hilda is also a mystery. So Marie tells this story Samantha was referring to, that her foster parents said that she couldn't see her parents because they'd been banished from Illinois. I don't think that's true. I think that's
the legal protocol for banishment from the state of Illinois.
Not even the town. It's not like they got run out of town and weren't welcome there. It's like, no, you can only go to the border with Indiana and then you have to stop.
Yep.
Eventually Marie was able to track down Raymond in a nearby town, so they get a cute reenactment. I forgot this part. So the sisters are in different foster homes. They like bump into each other sometimes because they're not living that far apart, but the families like keep them apart.
It's so mean. I have the most animosity against those that mom specifically, because
I think this is from a very, I don't think people approach it this way anymore. No. But I think like back in the day when you adopted children, you just pretended like you hadn't adopted them. You acted like you found them in a cabbage patch, or you like miraculously conceived them and they were somehow your biological children. And that was
that magic box baby.
Yeah. And that was supposed to make the children feel like wanted and whatever, but it literally means that she's like sees her sister and can't go talk to her.
Yeah, that part seemed extra.
It's just awful. So Marie does track down Raymond. They're the first siblings to find each other. So we get a cute reenactment of their reunion.
Horrible.
And together they wanted to find the rest of their family. They did find one sister, Carol, in 93 before the segment aired. So after the airing...
same one that she found before, I think.
I think so. I think they had like a better idea of where Carol was.
Right, yeah.
She was like somewhere nearby. Fortunately, after airing on Unsolved Mysteries, 2 more sisters and 3 brothers were located, and then we get a reunion as an update. And it's so really cute. And my fashion note is that Betty Jane, one of the siblings, is wearing rhinestone B, like the letter B earrings. And it's just so chic.
There's some fashion going on in that reunion.
There's some real fashion. The only important note from Unsolved Mysteries was that if you had done the math, you would have noticed that one sibling was still missing. However, she was since located. And then the sad update is that Marie passed away in 2015.
Yeah.
But
I'm really glad they got that reunion at least. That was really sweet.
It is really sweet, and they clearly, wanted to find each other and just didn't really have a way of connecting them because there's like essentially no paperwork for this, right? They were just like taken out of the jail and
and that seems like all of these lost loves that are like adoption related specifically are always like, nope, you're not allowed to know about this, or just like will straight up lie to you about this.
That one where all the paperwork was in the back of this pharmacy and it was like incomplete. It was like, yeah, you can go dig through that. So they did find out that Hilda had passed away in 77. I'm not sure if they ever found out exactly what happened to Frank, but I'm glad that the siblings got reunited. The situation is super shitty. I refuse to believe that this was the best solution to this problem.
Yeah, seems like you could have maybe just given them money or let them live there still.
I can't imagine there were a bunch of tenants just lined up to live in a farmhouse with no
shitty farmhouse.
Yeah.
Let them fucking stay there, at least. I mean, I don't even think that's the best solution because they had to sleep in the same bed because they were so cold. But it's better than living in the jail.
The voiceover of they took pity on them. You evicted them.
Yeah.
It was real rough.
Robert Stack wants us to be like, man, those boys in blue, they really did a good job locking up that mom and her children that hadn't committed any crimes.
Robert Stack thinks Elliot Ness is a great guy. So
he has to because without Elliot Ness, he wouldn't have bought all those jobs.
That's fair. He did do that good deed for Robert Stack's decision.
Yeah, Elliot Ness, I don't know if he did any good deed except his goodest deed, which was being a money train for Robert Stack. Yeah,
it's not great. It's not great. Yeah, I feel like Robert Stack and I have some different opinions on law enforcement. So hope that never comes up in.
You don't say.
Session.
Well, the thing is, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but Robert Stack has passed on.
I know. That's why in our Ouija session, we're going to have to skirt around that issue.
I just don't know that that's really going to come up.
It's like talking to your uncle at Thanksgiving. Like, you just try to avoid it,
Yeah.
Okay,
we've got one more segment. And
this one is super quick and super sad. So
it's so sad.
Buckle up because this is gonna give you whiplash. This is a wanted. We're looking for Gerald Gervasoni. 27-year-old Jerry Gervasoni of New Jersey is wanted for strangling his 22-year-old girlfriend Pauline, also known as Paula Paziak. On July 9th, 1986, Paula and Jerry went on vacation together and decided to stay at her mother Barbara's house in the lakeside resort town of Kissimmee, Florida. During the visit, Paula and Jerry slept in Barbara's bedroom while Barbara slept on the couch, which is a really nice thing of this mom to do, I gotta say. She's like, no, you take my daughter and clearly my daughter's sleazy boyfriend, sleep in my bed, and...
Go have sex in my bed, children, while I hurt my back on the couch.
Yeah. No, you should really make Jerry sleep with Barbara. Anyway, she seemed like a nice mom, which makes the ensuing events even worse. During the visit, Paula and Jerry... I already said that. So on Saturday, July 13th, the couple told Barbara that they would be leaving the next morning to visit some of Jerry's relatives in Miami. The next day, when Barbara didn't see them, she assumed that they had left. But several days later, she started to notice a strong odor in her house.
Oh.
This is honestly one of the worst things I've seen. I mean, this reenactment is not gruesome, but just the idea of it is so horrible to me.
Sad. It's horror movie level.
Yeah. Like if it was a horror movie, you would think it was too cheesy. You'd be like, that would never happen. That's too over the top.
It's true.
Yeah.
It is true. It's really true. So she searched through the house trying to identify where the smell was coming from, eventually deciding to look in her bedroom. She peeked underneath the bed and was shocked and horrified to find her daughter's corpse wrapped in a bamboo curtain underneath her bed, which presumably she'd been sleeping in since her daughter left.
I hate it so much.
So sad and so awful.
I want to die. That's horrible. Okay, authorities later heard from a friend of Gervasoni's so he became the immediate suspect, obviously.
Could a guiltier man be alive? I mean...
Yeah. So authorities later heard from a friend of Gervasoni's who said that he had picked up Gervasoni at the Newark airport in New Jersey 3 days after he and Paula had supposedly left. The friend said that Gervasoni had confessed to accidentally breaking Paula's neck in a struggle because she caught him stealing her mother's paycheck.
He's the worst!
And the way he confessed, it was like, because his friend was like, why are you in such a rush to get out of town? And he's like, well, we'll just say that I accidentally killed someone.
He was so casual about it. I'm like, I don't know what you think is like a normal friend thing to share, but that's not it, buddy.
Yeah, he was immediately like, haha, I'm kidding. I didn't actually kill someone, except I did. I don't know. He's a dirtbag.
This is not a like Goodbye Earl situation either. Like it's not a sympathetic murder. You
like no. This is not a Goodbye Earl situation.
No.
So the same friend soon learned that Paula was actually deceased, and he immediately contacted the authorities. By the time an arrest warrant was issued for Gervasoni, however, he had vanished. And although 7 years have passed, Barbara still hopes to get him caught. This case was also profiled in America's Most Wanted, but we're going to give the credit to Unsolved Mysteries because he was captured. Gervasoni was found near Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada on October 21st, 1993. He was using the alias, I don't know if I can pronounce this, Gordon McKiter. I don't know. He had previously lived in an apartment, and his former landlord watched the broadcast. His former landlord, I just want to point out, was named... Shoot, what was his name? Now I forget.
Chris Hansen!
Chris Hansen.
Yeah.
For some reason, that left my brain. I was watching this episode, and literally my only note, I'm reading off the wiki because I couldn't take it. My only note I wrote down was that the landlord that turned him in was named Chris Hansen.
I wrote no in
Bringer
all
of
caps.
justice.
Yeah. No was my only note in this segment.
Oh yeah, that's acceptable. So Chris Hansen turned him in, not that Chris Hansen, but another hero, Chris Hansen. His fingerprints confirmed his identity in 1996. Gervasoni was extradited to Florida.
He stuck with his fake persona too. He was like, "No, I'm Gordon."
Yeah, no one bought it. In May of 1997, he was found guilty of second-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. However, in 2000, his sentence was reduced to 17 years. So he was paroled in 2003, and he returned to New Jersey, where he was sentenced to 3 years in prison for a parole violation. He was released again in 2006, moved to Washington, and died in May 2013.
He only served 6 years for that.
I know.
Mm-hmm. 6 years for murdering your girlfriend in cold blood and hiding her body under her mom's bed.
It's so sad.
Horrible.
I hope he stubbed his toe every day of his life.
Me too.
I hope a lot worse. But
well, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Also, I feel bad. Like, I'm glad is that friend that he just like overshared to, turned him in. But like, I hope that friend, recovered from that, because that would be really awful.
If I just came near your house and was like, "So Arden, yeah, I got to get out of town." See, and you're like, "Liz, why do you need to get out of town?" And you're like, "Because I accidentally killed Mac." I didn't do that. Isn't that a funny joke that I told, that I brutally murdered someone?
Yeah, domestic violence is a joking matter, as we all know.
Always. Very funny. Just a well of humorous content there.
Such a piece of shit.
So the problem with this episode is you sit through all this Anastasia stuff that goes on too long. You get this really weird lost love that is kind of sad. And then it's just like, you thought that was sad? Here's something fucking sadder.
Yeah.
That poor mom. She's just like, cry. Okay, I wrote this down because I was like, she just at one point goes, I've become a very angry and very hateful person. I was like, of course you have.
Yeah, that's fair, hun.
What a very honest moment to just be like, the worst possible thing happened, and now I hate everybody. And I was like, I feel that.
But also, I feel like she's like mourning who she used to be. Also,
I
used to not be like this, and I am mad about that as well, which is fucking fair.
Yeah, I used to live in a world where I didn't think I might find a corpse under my bed
of my daughter. Yeah,
it's awful. Okay, we have to rate this though.
Okay, so we've got our categories. We've got mysteriousness.
Not very mysterious.
No,
thumbs down.
Low on the mysterious scale. Thumbs down.
How old was that woman actually?
Well,
yeah, that's. Yeah, Anna Anderson thinks she's real mysterious, but I'm not buying it. Thumbs down.
Thumbs down.
Our next category is reenactments.
Kind of all over the place.
Those kids were really cute.
They were.
Yeah.
There were a lot of reenactments.
The Anastasia ones, I feel like they both put in a lot of effort and not a lot of effort.
Maybe some were directed by different people. It is like kind of hodgepodge.
Yeah.
I actually am kind of gonna go thumbs down because of that. I think.
Yeah, I agree. What about fashion? Seems like it was similarly all over the place.
I would say sideways.
Yeah, I at least like that we got a different era than we usually get, but then some of the costumes were. But some of the costumes. Really, you know what has very accurate costumes? Muppet Christmas Carol.
That's the standard we hold all episodes of Unsolved Mysteries to.
They borrowed those costumes from a Muppet museum. Actually,
that's why. On a scale of 0 to Muppet Christmas Carol.
Oh, that's a tough scale.
I would love that.
Compare though 0 like every time.
Yeah. Well, it's no Muppet Christmas Carol. Says Liz again this week. What else do we have to rate? Robert Stack? He got a little grandiose in this episode.
Dramatic.
I kind of want to pull him down to earth. He's like thinking himself to be an honorary American Romanov and acting like putting people in jail because at Christmas is good.
Just like an honorary Romanov would probably think.
Yeah, no, thumbs down, Robert Stack. You ground yourself.
Yeah,
he got a little big for his britches.
Not cute.
Well, the only thing we have left to do besides recommendations is to rate this on our Robert Stack scale. So of course we have 0. It's not 0 to Muppet Christmas Carol. It's 0 to 5 Robert Stacks. I don't know. I didn't really like this episode.
I didn't really like it.
So,
2?
I think
I was with a 2.
I'm landing on a 2. I'm not a big fan, gotta say.
It was both sad and long, which is the worst combination of Unsolved Mysteries.
Sad and boring.
Yeah.
Arden, how would you rate the cartoon Anastasia?
Okay, I do have a lot of thoughts on that. Also very pro Romanov, that cartoon. There's a whole song about how great the Tsar was.
Well,
like all the peasants are like, "Oh, we miss being serfs. It was great."
We love not eating. It's our favorite thing.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was always excellent, post Tsar, but I don't think they were singing in the streets about how much they missed that royal family. It doesn't hold up as well as it did as a child. I loved that movie as a kid, and my mom hated it, and now I kind of understand why. Gotta say, it has a couple really good songs though. So I
feel like there's not enough cartoon Rasputin in our lives. Like that's something.
Well, that's very true.
That's true.
I feel like the more Rasputin content, the better.
I would give the cartoon Anastasia movie 3.5 out of 5 Robert Stacks.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should I do a recommendation now?
I think you probably should.
I kind of had a scramble this week, even though we were off. I really didn't have a recommendation, but then I thought maybe you need something to spend your stimulus money on.
Ooh.
So I'm recommending the shop Die With Your Boots On, which is a clothing store in Salem that pretty much just sells black clothing. I mean, what more do you need if you're
I've gotten a lot of links from Liz to that store.
It's true.
Last week.
It's true.
I'm not complaining.
It's annoying to me that I'm wearing out clothes even though I don't go anywhere. But it's like no one even got to enjoy this. And yet these leggings are done. So I don't know. I needed more like comfy around the house clothes. And I ordered some, I guess around Christmas time, maybe right after Christmas. And they just came and I'm very happy with my black popcorn giant sweater. I've been looking for like the right oversized black cardigan, and now I finally have that. And I got a like tie-dyed black sweatshirt and joggers, as we call them now. Oh man, so comfortable. I got those in my usual size, and they're like Billie Eilish baggy, but you know what? I'm lying around the house, and I appreciate garments that I can walk a dog in and sleep in. That's something I'm really looking for in clothes right now. So these are perfect.
Nice.
But it's just a little clothing store in Salem, and I suppose my style of dress could be described as Salem tourist. So it works for me.
There you go.
Checked out.
And I was very happy with my purchases. So that is my recommendation if you have stimulus money burning a hole in your pocket and somehow need comfortable pants.
Very nice. Excellent. Well, I also have something to recommend that you could spend. You would have to, I think, buy a lot to spend your whole stimulus check at this place. But if you're gonna go that way, I'm not gonna judge you. I'm recommending something potentially random, but it's a company that sells spices.
Ooh, okay.
So this is a company that they actually do have 2 retail stores in Minnesota, but they were previously unknown to me. I found them through a recommendation that I saw from a YouTuber I watch. And it's Penzeys spices.
Oh yeah, love them.
Yes,
good spices.
I'm obsessed, but I specifically wanted to recommend them because I discovered through that recommendation 2 of their spice blends. So they sell regular all kinds of spices, and I haven't gotten any. I placed a big order right after Christmas.
I'm waiting for an order right now. It's supposed to come tomorrow.
Okay, so I appreciate that you can buy all their stuff online too, because I'm not really going to go to a store. Certainly not for spices. That seems very unnecessary. But their online website is great, and you can also get a lot of samples. But I specifically, and maybe Arden, maybe you use these blends. You can tell me if you agree with my recommendation. I'm recommending the Sunny Paris
classic,
which is amazing. So I'm not an egg person. Like I don't really eat eggs for breakfast or any time. I mean, I don't hate them, but I'm not really that into eggs. Except since I've discovered this spice blend, I love eggs now. I want to eat them all the time because it's so delicious. It's like chives and onions. I don't know what all is in this stuff.
I love it on salmon.
Amazing. And the other one I want to recommend is their Italian herb blend, which is, I've never had a strong opinion about Italian seasoning. It's whatever. It's been whatever to me. But since I discovered theirs, I put this shit on everything, and it makes everything I cook so much. I'm not a good cook. Travis is normally the cook in our family. I've started doing more cooking since quarantine. I'm enjoying it a little bit more, but I'm not good at it. Except when I put this on shit, it makes what I made delicious. So, and then I placed a big order for them and I wanted to make it count. So I bought like some of their hot chocolate. That was delicious. I bought some of their taco seasoning. That was super good.
Did you get any of their cinnamon? They have excellent cinnamon.
No, so we have so much cinnamon in this house. I should buy some, and I was tempted because I figured I was also tempted to get some of their pumpkin pie spice, but I also have a lot of that.
I have regular cinnamon and special cinnamon, and they're my special cinnamon.
Okay, now I gotta place another order.
Amazing. You're gonna be like, oh, I have cinnamon. Then you're gonna be like, oh my god, I might have been wrong. I don't know what this other shit is because this is cinnamon. That's gonna be
okay. I'm definitely gonna place another order. I since I haven't done a lot of cooking in my life, really this year is the first year I've cooked, obviously, but it's mainly been a means to an end. Like I gotta eat, so I gotta cook. But I've never really enjoyed it until I've been forced to be at home all the time and needed something to do. So I might as well make some recipes. So I've never been one that's been like, what's the latest in spices? But I feel like I'm getting there.
Ice grade.
And I gotta say, I really.
I'm just picturing someone like waking up in the morning, picking up their phone and being like, Siri, what's the latest in spices?
Is that not what you do? Because
It's not.
It might be what I do now. Although I feel like I'm going to stick with them for a little while because I'm very happy with everything I've ordered.
They're excellent. They're like no ethical consumption under capitalism and all that. But like for a company, they're pretty good too. They do a lot of charity work.
They have the cutest
very
packaging.
vocally anti-Trump, which I love from a spice company. It's just random and I love it.
Yeah, they really hate Trump. They package everything with a ton of bay leaves, so then you have those around. Yeah. That's handy.
Yeah, no, it's great. They do curbside pickup now at their stores too, which is nice.
Yeah. See, when I discovered that they had stores around here, like Liz, I was dying to go browse. So that might be one of my destinations post-COVID. As soon as I'm vaccinated. Oh, I didn't know they were based in Wisconsin.
Uh-huh. Yep,
they have a store in Minneapolis and they have a store in St. Paul.
Yep. The Minneapolis one is right like 2 doors down from my hairstylist, which I'm sad about now. It was a nice like browse spices, get hair done.
Oh, that sounds really nice.
Excellent. Recommend.
We're making a list of things we want to do post-COVID. As soon as I get that vaccine, I'm getting all you can eat sushi, and I'm gonna go buy a bunch of cinnamon from Penzies.
Oh my God, yeah.
I'm gonna get a blowout to go buy cinnamon.
I didn't think that was going that way, but I support you.
I will get my hair done to do anything. Just leaving the house will be such an event.
We've decided. We're gonna like get ready for prom, like all
for
the
just
time.
Everyday activities, just to meet up for brunch. I can't wait. Arden, did you have a recommendation you wanted to share with us?
I do actually. And you guys actually already know this one. So sort of, I know there's been a lot of jokes about like, oh, people who bought 2020 planners, are really regretting that now.
I did my 2020 planner the other day. I pulled out my purse because I was going to switch purses, and my 2020 planner was in it, completely empty.
So I still used mine. I'm very much a physical planner person, just because actually writing things down helps me remember things. And if nothing else, I use it as a secondary like package tracker, so I can like keep track of all of my insane quarantine purchases to like try to keep my serotonin afloat. But
that makes sense to me.
I'm trying to manifest a better 2021 with a new planner. I got the Coloring Book of Shadows planner for a magical 2021, which I think Liz might also be getting.
I actually got it after you recommended it. I like it.
I'm really enjoying it. It's part coloring book and it has some like witchy stuff, but it's also a practical planner with like enough space to actually write stuff down. Because I think sometimes the really like ornate planners aren't actually that practical. But this is sort of in vein with the Pop Witch planner you recommended a few years back, which they don't seem to make anymore. I was one of those.
I got the Pop Witch planner last year, and then sadly didn't end up using my planner. And she said that was going to be the last year. I'm sure it takes a lot of time to make, and she wanted to like make other stuff. But I did get this planner because even though I hadn't been writing everything down, I do need to like remember due dates and shit. And I was like, all right, I should probably actually put that in a planner and just trying to remember everything.
And like every week has a different like little coloring sheet, which is so cute.
It's really well designed. Yeah.
It has a little brownie with like a magic spoon, and she's like stirring some like tea, and it's adorable.
Like there's like places for your notes. There's things to color. Mm-hmm. There's like some witchy information at the beginning and a place to like
throughout like every season and every month has like a start that has like more information and all of like major like witch holidays have their own page too, and it's really cute. Also, I'm a terrible witch who is really bad at like remembering that's like, oh, it's the equinox today. Whoops. So that I think that's going to be helpful for me personally to be maybe a better witch in 2021. But I think, if you can use a little brightness and a physical packaged planner and tracker for some reason, I think it's a good one. It was pretty inexpensive for the paperback too. I sprung for the spiral bound. There's also a hardcover. I like that they.
I couldn't find a spiral. I think it was sold out.
Yeah,
I was sad about that, but oh
Did
well.
you get the hardcover or the soft cover?
I didn't. I got soft cover, and I kind of regret it. But what it's only got to make it through the year. It doesn't have to last.
Right. I think the thing about planners is like they're not usually a long-term commitment.
There's a part at the beginning where you can like do some sort of fortune telling for each month of the upcoming year, and I did like year in advance tarot reading for the like new year.
Oh, fun.
And so we'll see 5 listeners. We can see what happens, but according to my reading, basically nothing happened until September, and then September was the world card. So I don't know what's happening. Is that me getting the vaccine and I actually get to leave my house? Don't know. But everything was like, like you're home, you're stable, like your creative energy is blocked. It was like very like nothing happens, and then it gets to September. So we'll see.
Okay. That doesn't sound bad, at least.
No, it doesn't sound bad, but I was like, I hope that's not like somehow it's worse.
Right. Yeah. A little.
I think positive.
We're just traumatized now, and we're like, oh, something's happening. It must be worse.
It must be bad. Yeah. The meth gators are back with the murder hornets in their mouths.
The meth gators got snow coats, and they're Minnesota now. Yep.
No! That is my nightmare.
Yep.
It's a meth gator that's gonna like bring up embarrassing things you did as a child.
Checks out.
Oh God. No, leave me alone, meth gator. Okay. So you should rate us 5 stars. You should subscribe to this podcast. You should, I don't know, sign up for a Patreon. You can hear us talk about the Unsolved Mysteries reboot and maybe get some coloring sheets.
You should send them snacks.
You should send us snacks.
We do have an Amazon wish list, so you can check it out. We don't plug that very often, but if there's something on there that you want to send to us, we wouldn't turn it down.
Pro tip, get a little wine drunk, start going through it, decide you really deserve all of it, get a little like verklempt about it, send them snacks. Don't send a card, so they're really confused.
Yes, it may have happened. You can find all our contact stuff at perhapsitsyou.com. If you have a spooky story of something that happened to you, you could email us at perhapsitsyouPodcast@gmail.com. Or if you've had a psychic dream. I would really love some more psychic dream stories. And hopefully that one about me bowling and getting COVID is not real. I hope that was not a psychic dream.
That was a stress dream, not a psychic dream.
Mom, quit trying to make me bowl. I mean, I would go bowling if there wasn't a pandemic.
Is bowling something we're ever going to do again? You're going to go put on someone else's shoes?
I mean, it's not my first choice.
I don't think that's how you get COVID, but also gross.
I'm not going to chance it.
All right. I'm definitely not. I'm not like going tomorrow. Don't worry.
No.
I'm not risking death to go bowling. An activity I'm not even very interested in. It's not even roller skating. No thanks.
Yeah.
I think that's it, everybody, right? Was that everything? Oh, Arden, did you want to say where people could find you?
Oh, yeah. I'm at mpls_mermaid on Instagram. If you want to like come see me be a ghost slut and a human slut on there, check it out.
If you want to see an Instagram page that's thousands of times more popular than ours, go to that one. Yes. Thanks, everybody.